Welcome, everybody. This is the Oola Spotlight, where we shine a spotlight on one segment of Oola, make it super applicable to your life. I bring on another coach, and we just have a short discussion in under 7 minutes is the goal about how you can apply Oola to your life. So we'll see if we can stick to that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joel Hassenritter, and I help people struggling through times of transition to design balance back in their life so they can grow toward their purpose and absolutely crush the next chapter of their life. I am super excited because Oola right now is focused so much on this one aspect that we're shining the spotlight on today. And with me, I have fellow Green Gap, fellow certified Oola life coach, overall extraordinaire, and even in the coaching community is affectionately known as the Green Gap guru, Gwen Stasio, as it was on the call last night. Thank you so much for joining me today. Tell us just a little bit about yourself, and I would love to have an update because you have taken the Green Gap principles of Oola, applied it to your life in exponential ways. I'd love to have an update on that as well.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Gwen. I'm on the East Coast of the United States. I'm in New Hampshire. It is cold. I am not ready. I'm not in the warmth like Joel is. And I'm super passionate about helping ambitious women ditch their debt and create financial freedom, create a new legacy for themselves, and then in the next generation to come. So
that's beautiful. So over the past, what, 8-9 months or so, you've taken Green Gap?
Yep.
And give us how has that journey been for you?
Sure. At the beginning of January, that's the only reason why I know it's been 10 months, because it was like January 1st came, and this was the real resolution that we actually decided to keep, was that we just got fed up with where we were in our finances and looked at what we valued in our life and decided that we weren't doing things that were allowing us to live our values. And one of those things was getting clear on our finances and paying down some debt. So let's see, in 5 months, we were able to knock out $25,000. And we were like, wow. Like, I've never seen that number before, except for a down payment on a house. So that was really exciting. And we just kind of kept going and kept snowballing it. And just in October, we just finished with about a little over $50,000 paid down on our debt in 10 months. So
whoa.
Same for me. Like, it's mind blowing.
That's incredible. That's Feels amazing. Good. No, that's awesome. We are working through this process as well with our household and with our family. And it's been kind of cool because as a certified Green Gap coach, like I've seen all these principles before, but Oola just launched a standalone course that anybody can buy. It's a self-paced course over 11 modules that really breaks this down into very bite-sized packets and bite-sized moments where the Oola guys teach you a little bit through video, then you read a section, and then you have a workbook that you kind of apply this to your life. So it's been really neat for me to see kind of both ends of that, where as a coach that we both coach people through this process, but then also seeing how applicable it can be when it's broken down into those little chunks. So if anybody is guessing right now, we are focusing on the finance piece of Oola. So Oola, for those of you who don't know, is broken up into 7 major areas of life. Gwen, would you like to enlighten us as to what those 7 areas are?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot because I always forget one. All right. So we have fun, fitness, faith, finance, field, friends. What am I forgetting? Family. There's your 7. I always forget that last one.
It's easy to do because we have 7 blockers, 7 accelerators, and all of those things, right? So we break this down, those 7 areas of life. Really, any stressor that you have and any abundance that you're living in falls under one of those categories of life. So how has Oola, since you've become a coach and you've known Oola even before then, but how has Oola in general impacted your life?
So many ways. I actually was just talking to Dr. Troy about this. Like, there are these little things that happen in our lives that we don't have like expectations of. We go through them and they happen to us. So for example, I wanted to get to an event back in 2015, and I could get a free ticket if I volunteered myself to work one of the vendor tables. Well, I ended up at the Oola vendor table, and I had heard of the Oola guys, but I really didn't know anything about them. And as their thank you, they signed a book and they gave it to me. And like I read their book. And that little tiny part of my life catapulted me to where I am now. It's like I would have never found Green Gap and been able to pay down my finances. I wouldn't have been able to better my relationships, decide what kind of path I wanted to take in my career, or even know that I I could choose my own life. And I think that's the biggest thing that Oola has done for me, is allowed me to see that I had options. And then I didn't just have to stay this path that like society tells us we have to take. I actually was able to create my own path, and I'm still doing that. And that everybody has the choice to do that. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me.
I love that. I have found so much benefit in how what we say, looking at your life through the lens of Oola, right? And when you start to do that and you start to piece all these things together and bring it together in one package where you have all these 7 areas of life, you identify the blockers that are holding you back, you latch on to an accelerator to get you through that, and then you start dissecting it. So in the finance piece of Oola, there's so many great finance courses out there and finance programs out there. I've taken several before. I think what I'm finding is different in the Oola Green Gap program is the same thing for me anyway, that's different about Oola when it comes to other personal development programs. And that is that it's sticky. It stays in front of you. Like you can't ignore it. And once you see it, and once you start to look at your life through that lens, you can't unsee that perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that, because mindset is such a big thing. So in this section of Oola, the finance piece, they spend so much on mindset even before you get to the practical part of working through your finances. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It's funny because if you tell people like, hey, you need to work on mindset first so you can get your money right, they'd be like, no. But like that's 80% of how we're successful in finances, right?
Right, absolutely. Most of us know spend less than you make,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Just spend less than you make and then decide where it's supposed to go. So we are coming up on our time. Can you just briefly, there's 5 main steps after the mindset of the Green Gap course and of the Green Gap system. Can you just summarize those real quickly, and then we'll do our 10-second hacks, 10-second Oola hacks, and sign off.
Yeah. So your steps in Oola are looking at your income and your expenses, right? So looking at what's coming in and what's going out. You're looking at the gap that you have after all your expenses are paid. Then you're giving your money a job. You're what's called apportioning the gap, and investing in your future. And then your last step is repeating those steps every single week, every single month, over and over and over again, so that you can master your money.
That's awesome. And I love how they've broken that down. Each of those 5 steps has sub-steps under them that they're absolutely attainable. Like if anybody can do it, everybody it doesn't matter if you're invested out and you have your finances, you've got an emergency fund. These principles apply to anybody regardless of where you're at. So I love that.
Sure.
Give us, Gwen, just a quick little 10-second Oola hack, because I want this segment, the Oola Spotlight, to be how do we make it practical to where people can see how it can apply to their lives today. So
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So my 10-second hack is open your bank account. Most of us, no, because it's, most of us open it only to pay the bills, but I want you to actually open it and look at it. And I want you to look at, all right, what is my average income that comes in every month? And what are my average expenses? A lot of times we know what our expenses are, but we don't necessarily look at like a total or look at how much of that is coming out of our income. So if you can look at those 2 things and compare them. I had a friend yesterday who did this for the first time, and she realized that she was spending over $500 a month on fast food.
oh.
And she was like, oh my gosh, that I'm embarrassed. I'm like, no, don't be embarrassed. You just won. You won the game. You just found $500 extra that you can go put on debt or put on investments, right?
I love that.
Amazing.
I love that. Wow. That's awesome.
Great.
My 10-second Oola hack, I'm actually going to piggyback on that. And when you open your bank account and you see where your money is coming and going, my son the other day told me, he said, you know, I was doing this. I opened my account because I had a charge that came through that I didn't realize was still going. It was one of these subscription charges, and it wasn't a cheap charge, but it was just one of those things we do. And oh yeah, I'll cancel that later. And 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and all of a sudden you've spent $500 over the past year of something you haven't even used. So part of that, looking at your expenses and your income, is just go line by line and ask yourself, is this something I use anymore? If it's not, get rid of it. And if it is something I use, do I need it? Like, is this something that I need in my life? And that's a discussion you can have with your spouse or significant other. If you're together, you can have it by yourself, but it's an important question to focus on and to identify. So if anyone would like to experience more about financial abundance in your life, Gwen and I both do one-on-one coaching. We both help people through this green gap process. And just reach out to one of us, set up a discovery call. We can talk about if this is a good fit for you and how this can apply the framework in general, and also to your finances specifically, of how to live a debt-free life, invest in your future, have fun along the way, which is an important part of this. Amazing. So reach out to one of us. You can get a hold of Gwen. You can follow her on Instagram at royal.highness, which is ROIL.highness, or at royalhighness.com. You have a beautiful website, by the way.
Thank you.
You can reach me at wayfindersforlife.com. And I thank you all for joining us. This has been your Oola Spotlight. Thank you, Gwen.
Thank you.